Okay, Mayor Hopeful is joining us remotely today by Teams this evening, so I will be chairing in her place. So thank you all in advance for your patience. I promise not to mess things up too much. Councillor Weave and Councillor McNary are unable to make it tonight as well, and they pass on their regrets. So with the mayor being remote, myself and Councillor Aiken, we do have a forum, so I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting for July 15, 2025 at 5:01. I would like to ask if there's any public input from the gallery tonight, as the meeting is now open to statements of no more than 5 members of the public for no more than 2 minutes in length. Nobody? Okay. Number 3, introductions of late additions and deletions. Are there any amendments, late additions or deletions for tonight's agenda?
Yes, we do have a late addition under section 19, closed meeting.
That's for legal or council. Just had we had an update about one of our legal processes now once they bring it forward to the council's consideration.
Okay, so we have noted the late addition, so could I get somebody to move that the July 15, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as amended? Councillor Aiken. Mayor Hopeful. All in favor? Carried. No statutory or public hearings today. We have no delegations. So on to the consent agenda. So before we move the motion for the consent agenda, can I ask if any member of council would like to move any of the 8 items? To please raise your hand and state which item you would like to move forward to new business. Nobody? Okay, I will. I would like to move 7.6, letter and poster for the Pride Walk, and also 717 for the visit to Murray Park. So they will be moved down to, bear with me, new business. So that would be 17.1. 17.2, I guess. Okay. So I guess I will ask that item number 7.1.6, letter and poster below a Pride Walk, and 7.1.7, visit to Murray Park email, be removed from the consent agenda for discussion under new business, and that the resolution set out in the consent agenda be approved. Can I have somebody? Councillor Aiken, Mayor Hopeful, all in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, no correspondence for action. I guess we'll move on to staff reports. We have 3 reports tonight, so I guess we will start. Mr. Barami, is that you? Okay, so we will do 9.1, DVP 25-002, variance to height of carriage house at 1614 Pine Grove Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. DVP 25-002 is located on a corner lot bounded by Pine Grove Street and 17th Avenue. It is roughly 0.4 acres in area and currently contains a single-family detached dwelling along with a detached garage. It is currently zoned for R1 and designated as low-density residential in the OCP. The applicant is looking to place a carriage house on top of the garage by varying the maximum height of 4 meters for an accessory unit to 6.96 meters, as you may find in section 51.1.1 of the current zoning bylaw. The project is located on the southwest corner of the lot and conforms to the required setbacks of the R1 zone. Adjacent neighbors have been notified through mailed letters, and the information was posted to our website and Facebook page. Staff have no issue with this variance, and as of 4 p.m. today, we have received 1 written support for this variance. And to conclude, staff recommends that DPP 25-002 be approved. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
I like the rendering of the garage slash carriage house there. It's gonna be a nice addition to that property.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Sorry, one other comment, just to add in, is we recently have upgraded 17th and Pine Grove with water as well. So that, had that not happened, this would be a whole other conversation we were having, so the application could have been potentially denied. And the fact that it wouldn't have had sufficient fire flow to it, but the job has just been finished for last week, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we just finished that upgrade from that water line down that side as well, so it's just gonna show us the good timing sometimes, otherwise this project would move ahead. So
Thank
just
you.
for everyone's information.
Yeah, that was actually gonna be one of my questions, if we did have water down there to be able to support this. I know I did go for a drive and have a look at it and sort of looked at it from the view of, I think it's 1607, and where the original garage is in the trees. I don't think it will make much difference, but every point anyway, so. My one concern was sufficient water, and that's been, answered. So in that fact, can I ask that somebody move the development variance permit to DVP 25-002 for the proposed carriage house at 1614 Pine Grove Street, legally described as Lot 2, Plan KAP 49319, Lillooet Land District, except Plan KAP 53038, to vary the maximum height of the carriage house as prescribed in section 51.1.1 in the District of Lillooet zoning bylaw 2018, number 454, from 4 meters to 6.96 meters, be approved. Councillor Aitken, Councillor Hopeful, any further questions? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, appointment of financial officer and corporate officer. Mr. McCulloch?
So, we're looking to have Patricia Higgins, join us tonight. Hi, Patricia, or Pat.
Hi there.
Patricia is a long-serving CFO who currently resides in Vernon, but has worked in a number of municipalities throughout BC. She has passed, not only the test for CEOs for our standing CFO. She's also passed the Joni test, which was really important. So Joni came back on Friday and we had a meeting, and then we also had an in-person meeting yesterday where Patricia came out to town, met with all of the ladies downstairs and kind of ran through and got updated and get everything going. So Patricia's going to be working with us in the interim period just now, between now and us appointing our new CFO. But as part of this, it's either me being designated as a CFO, which is your CEO, I do not fully approve of. I need to do receipts, and I think that's not a strong point. So I don't want to be that person. So I'd much rather have somebody that's get the CPA designation. So very, very happy to have Patricia here. I will be taking on the role of the corporate officer just now, which is fine. But in order to do both of those functions, we need to be appointed and then sworn in. Seems like a kind of a bit of a waste of time, because we know that Patricia's not going to be here, unfortunately, long term with us. But again, it is one of the things that we need to do as part of our legal responsibilities. So the idea today is to have Patricia sworn in as our CFO. It is an interim position, but it is just sworn in as that, and myself as the corporate officer as well. So we're going to work our way through that. And I'm happy to see if there's any questions on it.
I think the Joni test is probably all we know.
The Joni test was very important. It was vitally important.
In that case, can I ask that someone move that Patricia Higgins be appointed as the District of Lillooet Chief Financial Officer, and that Joe McCulloch be appointed as the District of Lillooet's Corporate Officer, and further that these appointments be effective during any period where the statutory positions are vacant. We'll go. Mayor Hopeful? Any opposed? Carried. Now, are we doing the oath now?
Yeah, I think we do that and let Patricia head off if that's okay. Is that okay with you, Patricia? Have you got anything to add to this?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Myself. Yeah, I'll look at it.
Okay, so I, Patricia Higgins, having been appointed to the office of the, sorry, of the Chief Financial Officer position, statutory position for the District of Lillooet, do hereby promise and swear solemnly affirm that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the powers, duties, and functions of my office. I will treat all matters and information that come to my attention as a result of my office in confidence. I have not received, nor I will receive or accept any payment or reward or promise of either in return for the exercise of my powers, duties, and functions other than as permitted by the district. I will not allow my personal interest to conflict with the duties of my office, and I will comply with all policies and directives of the District of Lillooet and comply with all laws.
Awesome. Okay, so we will send that to you as well and have that signed. And then on scheduling for the District of Lillooet, the oath of office, I, Joe McCullough, having been appointed the office of the court officer for the District of Lillooet, do hereby promise to swear solemnly and affirm that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the powers and duties of my function of office. I will treat all matters and information that come to my attention as a result of my office and confidence. I have not received, nor will I receive or accept any payment or reward or promise or either promise or either in return for the excess of my powers, duties, and functions, all of them permitted by the district. I will not let my personal interest to comply with the duties of my office, and I will comply with all policies and directives of the District of Lillooet, and will comply with all laws. And I can sign mine.
Awesome, thank you. Welcome, Patricia.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, 9.3, is that Mr. McCullough again?
Lightly.
Okay.
We received a letter of authorization and support from the District Historical Society for grant application. Or maybe let Angela kind of talk to this one as well, but the recommendations from staff first and foremost is that the District of Lillooet Council support the authorization and grant application submitted by the Historical Society for the Heritage BC Legacy Fund. There's a lot of information in this in these kind of pages here, but the kind of shortened version of it is, in order for the Historical Society to move forward with the feasibility and functions report, they need to get a letter of authorization from ourselves. Now, this is going to link in with a lot of the Stantec report and link in to make sure that we can actually move forward to do a viability and feasibility study for the Historical Society. Doesn't cost us anything to do that. They're just simply asking for our support within this. And I certainly recommend that would be what we would be doing with this. I don't know if you have anything else to kind of add to it.
Yeah, this is basically specifically to the interior of the museum, so it's separate from any of the capital grant funding, and we're just looking to be part of the package that was forwarded. Also included two options of design that Paul Moffett came up with, who is a member of our board. And what we would like to do is just get the feasibility study and cost analysis to see if this is even something that can be done. So before we put too much more effort into going forward with the design, we need to know if it's even a possibility, and then we can plan from there about funding and things like that.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do have a question through the chair. The Stantec, I remember that came out a number of years ago, there was some structural issues there. I'm just wondering what the status of that is in the process, because I think that's probably part of the.
We're in the process of getting a structural engineer to come over and have a look and do a deep dive, because when that Stantec report came out, to my understanding, because the stuff before I came on board, there was no, they didn't look into everything, they just looked at everything. So we want to get somebody to come over, and we have the board over already. For about $3,000 to $3,500 to look. Dean Grant has gone up and actually moved some of the ceiling tiles and stuff downstairs and had a look, and doesn't, other than one post that definitely has to be replaced, doesn't see anything. But we want a structural engineer to come in and have a look and just make sure this is part of it, right? But while this is going on, we still would like to move forward with the feasibility study to see if this is even an option for the interior redesign. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, we just see the structural things being a big part.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I know that I liked all the mock-ups there. I liked to look at all of those. I just had one question that in the draft for the support letter, it says that the District of Lillooet is prepared to collaborate with society as needed to ensure the success. What sort of collaboration, do you have an idea of what that's going to entail, or is it too early to consider?
I mean, Angela and I will have not regular meetings, but we certainly meet enough. We had a discussion this week a wee bit about fire safety and sprinkler protection. So happy to offer our advice to the best that we possibly can. But if we're finding that it's becoming too onerous or too much for us, then we would obviously have a discussion. But I think what we're looking to do just now is just support the time with it.
Yeah.
As and when needed required. But we're not going to be scheduling a meeting every Tuesday at 4 o'clock and then using public works time. That's not the intention.
No, and the other thing is too, feel free to change that. Like, this is just, we're not even sure what that looks like yet. So, if we get the support, great. I know I can call on Joe if I need something. But yeah, to his point, no, this is not a regularly scheduled meeting every week.
Okay, no, I'm in support of the grant. I just wanted that one little line. So
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay, if there's no more questions, they're helpful. Okay, can I ask someone to move that the District of Lillooet Council supports and authorizes the grant application submitted by the Lillooet District Historical Society to the Heritage BC Legacy Fund for funding to undertake a feasibility study and cost report for the interior redesign of the Lillooet Museum and Visitor Center. Councillor Aitken, Councillor Hopeful, all in favor, carried.
Thank you.
Okay. No committee of the whole recommendations, bylaws and resolutions. Animal control bylaw 2025-027. This is Tim's.
So staff are bringing forward an update to the animal control bylaw with the primary goal of updating the fines and charge sections to be able to better enforce the bylaw and to make it more reflective of current times. This hasn't been changed much at all since 2006. During the rewrite, a few other minor changes have been made, including increasing fees just to account for 18 years of inflation. The goal is to update the bylaw to help the bylaw officer and the community in general to reduce issues and complaints related to pets, including dogs and animals at large, aggressive dogs and unlicensed dogs. So they mentioned the bylaw has not been updated since 2006 and is in need of review. Several of these changes were identified and drafted starting in 2019 by the previous staff, including the Director of Technical Services at the time and the bylaw officer at the time. And it kind of was never really high priority. So it took a little bit to get to where we are now, but the bylaw went under a few more changes by our current bylaw officer and Rob Iseo. So besides the animal control bylaw itself, there's two related bylaw amendments that are being brought forward at the same time, which is an amendment to the fees and charges bylaw and an amendment to the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw. That's the part that provides the updated fines and charge sections that relate directly to the animal control bylaw. So what else has changed? An exemption was made for any potential police service dogs operating in the area. A section was added on diseased animals, on dog daycares, and on cruel care, cruelty, and abandonment of animals. The kennel section was reworded a little bit and more clarity provided in terms of the number of dogs permitted with and without a kennel permit. The license fees were amended to include higher license and seizure fees for dogs that have been previously declared as nuisance dogs or aggressive dogs. All other fees were only increased to match inflation since 2007 with a little bit of rounding, make it round numbers. Many of the fines have been increased as there haven't been any increases in a number of years, and new charge sections were added to the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw that were missing, which made it hard for our bylaw officer to actually enforce. As such, updating the fines and charge sections will make enforcement easier. Lillooet does not currently have a pound and is not currently seizing animals at large unless they are in distress. Therefore, some parts of the bylaw will not necessarily be actively used at this moment. But that's been the case with the existing animal control bylaw, had sections about seizing animals that, because we don't have a pound right now, we haven't been doing. However, if we introduce or reintroduce a pound in the future, the bylaw is already set up to be able to do that. Finally, staff intend to refer the bylaw for external comment to the Lillooet Animal Advocate Society after this evening, just to see if they what feedback they might have. And in conclusion, staff recommend giving first, second, and third reading to the 3 bylaws as presented, with a plan to adopt them at the August regular meeting. Or if there's significant changes to be made, we could bring forward changes. Thank you, systems. Questions?
Okay, I had a few,
I would never see.
I had a few, I'm sorry.
No, but there are valuable questions as well.
Yeah.
Valuable questions.
Yeah, I found, I felt a few of the things were incorrect there and it came across as a dog bylaw, not an animal control bylaw. There was no mention of other animals. Is there a limit on cats? Because that is in other animal control bylaws as well. Some of the definitions, I thought should be together. Things like, licensing when we're looking at, certified animals like guide dogs and service dogs. There's so many people now that claim that their animal is a service dog, like you have a teacup poodle and a handbag. What do you do if someone is insisting that their handbag is a service animal and don't want to pay a licensing fee there? The diseased animal, I don't like the wording that it's at the animal control officer's sole discretion. Animal control aren't professionals, and also I think another person should be involved for accountability. Just so you have 2 people, if for some reason an animal does have to be destroyed, just for covering other people as well. We mentioned, page 67, we mentioned daycares. But what is allowed in a daycare? It mentions the Canadian kennel operations for reference, but they don't have to actually reference anything as to number of animals or how it's to be done. It just actually references about the environment for animals to be kept. And then when we're talking daycares, we've got nothing in the fees for permits. So do you need a permit if you have a dog daycare? And what about kenneling? And then you also have boarding of animals as well. There's no mention in here of people who board animals for short term as well. So those sort of popped out at me. Under the care and cruelty, page 69, it says dogs. It should be animals. It's specifically saying dogs should be this, unless it's changed to a dog bylaw, then that whole section makes sense, but it's not referencing all animals. It's just that we have to mind dogs. I've got quite a bit more wanting to hear it all. License and permit fees. It says that with their $20, they've been increased to $20, but then after July 1st, they're only $10. The wording there, I'm assuming it's just because it's a half the year, so you're only paying half the fee. So I'm thinking the wording should possibly say that if you're getting a license from July to December, then as of January, you'll be paying the full fee. And I know they're sort of nitpicky things, but they're things that people sort of pick up on. And then on licensing as well, there's already chatter about why people should be buying licenses for their dogs because we don't have a pound. So I'm not sure if there should be a discussion or something that, yes, we don't have a pound, but we're still, bylaw is still getting phone calls and going out and seeing if dogs are distressed and whatever. So those fees are actually helping keeping track of the calls and actually what's coming in there as well. And then I have a question. Does bylaw have the correct training to safely for themselves and for the animals that they're trying to look after? Do they have the correct training for that to keep themselves safe and also the animals safe?
Yeah, so through the chair, there's a lot of really good questions, and I think once we get past maybe 4 or 5 questions, we'll maybe kind of not do the first, second, and third reading tonight. Maybe do the first reading, or propose that we do first reading with it tonight. Go away, make some of these amendments, and then bring it back for second and third reading. And at that point, we can also look it back to AMS. In regards to the pounds or training, I'll need to look into if bylaw has all of these specific training. I know that he and I have dealt with a number of aggressive and dangerous dogs in town. Also dealt with a number of uncared for dogs in town. We approach it slightly differently. So if there's aggressive dogs in town, or if there's untreated dogs in town, if bylaw goes up and he's able to, and he feels comfortable to, he's more than happy to pick that dog up, take it away, and what he'll do is he'll take it to Kamloops, take it to the SPCA. If he's not there and it's above his ability and he's been worried about it in regards to like a dangerous dog, then we go on Kamloops and they would actually come out and they would deal with it. Since I started here, I believe we've had at least 2 dangerous dogs seized, and one of them put on the dangerous dog list as well. And that's just the dog side of things. But again, we should be looking into what we're physically doing with the pounds, but that then means that then we need to look after the animals until such times we need to have somebody there and water them and feed them and clean them and walk, all the rest of the care that then goes into that side of things as well. So it's easier for us just to, at this point in time, if bylaw feels comfortable with it and he knows the people and he knows it's a missing dog, it's a dog that's running around, he will go and get the owner first, get them to get the dog in charge. And if that's not the case and he can't deal with it, then we are phoning pounds or the RSPCA and Kamloops to address it. But we can look into training with them as well.
Well, that's good because I'm just thinking of safety for staff and also for the animals there, not questioning qualifications, just safety.
No, it's a very valuable point. I think it's well taken. And I think that your point about that sole discretion is always one that kind of worries people. I think that's always slightly a worrying comment sometimes. You see that, I think that was probably in the old bylaw as well. So it's one of those things that just becomes an unpopular term sometimes. So.
Yeah, it's like it's thinking that there should be accountability for 2 people so that it's not.
Well, yeah, so through the chair, when we're dealing with dangerous dogs, the process for us to deal with dangerous dogs is quite a stringent process. We need to have a number of different complaints. There needs to just be a very tight wording in the bylaw when we're dealing with how to categorise a dangerous or an aggressive dog. The dog itself can't just walk around growling at people. It's got to be physically either involved in an alteration or involved in something that has harmed or put other people in danger, or it's got to be a dog that's not in control or not seem to be in control as well. And like I said, I know that we've been involved in at least a couple that we've actually had to put that tag on them and say this is now an aggressive dog, and then that information then gets shared with all other municipalities and local authorities as well, because the dog that came here that was an aggressive dog had actually mortally injured a dog in another neighbourhood, and he didn't put the dangerous dog or the aggressive dog on that, and then he moved. So then when he came here, we got the file later on down the line, and as soon as he got here, we had found out that that dog was out getting loose, so we put the aggressive and dangerous dog on it straight away.
That right there is another pro for licensing dogs, so that a file will follow people with communities as well.
Well, through the chair, what we actually found had happened was it was licensed in a previous municipality, but they had changed the dog's name, which is rather a dangerous thing to do, but by the nature of it, that's unfortunately what happened. And then when the dog came here, and kudos to bylaw for this one, he really done his research on this before he brought it to my attention, and he said, look, just to let you know, I've looked into this, I've phoned out all my neighbouring communities, I've done my due diligence, I've looked into it. He said, I don't know if this is the same dog, but it matches the description. And then he phoned the other municipalities and they sent pictures of that dog, which looked exactly like this dog by one of the previous owners. And then cross-referenced it and then came to me and said, I have a real concern with this dog. I believe this is the dog that mortally injured a dog in another community and is now getting out in our community. So he did a really good job with that. I was very, very impressed with him and he followed the process really well. So anyway, yep. But I don't know, would you be with the prosecuting on this one and then we can take it away? Have we got more checks on this one as well?
I got,
As through the chair, just two parts of the fees, do some of the fees go towards, the that's, do some of the fees go towards that?
Through the chair, I believe that they have money in their account that we previously supported. I think they've already got I don't know if it's 14p that out, but I know that some of the previous years money had went to them. So I don't know if it does that moving forward, but we can certainly look at that if that's something the council wants us to support.
well, we did just give them, actually, it was in one of the emails here. We just did give them a couple of months ago money that was in the coffers there for the old district spay and neuter program. And then there was a couple of $100 for the panel as well. So it was given to them, which they did put towards their spay and neuter program.
Yeah.
It came from somewhere. Yeah, just on that, I found a couple of discrepancies in the fees that weren't carried over there as well. And just as I was saying, it read more as a dog bylaw than an animal bylaw. And, I'm fine to push it to first read.
I just have a question, if I can. We're good. Okay, through the chair. So you guys did touch on a few things that I wanted to talk about, but the dog pound, and I know that we're short-staffed right now, and I know that we got a lot going on, and there's never seems to be a quiet week. But when there is a quiet week, I would like to discuss like what we're doing with the dog pound right now, and what the costs might be to bring that up to a working dog pound. And is that the right place? Can we work with laughs? I think that's a conversation that we have to have, because having bylaw and not being able to pick up dogs and not having to have a place for them to go, except driving them all the way to Kamloops is just just not economically feasible. So again, at a later time, maybe we can talk about that. I'm good with the sole discretion piece, and again, only because a second person, we just don't have that second person on staff to do that. But I'd like to know what other communities are doing that only have one bylaw officer. So what is Cache Creek doing? What is, or a shared bylaw for Cache Creek, Clinton, Ashcroft, what are they doing? And maybe we can talk to them at UBCM. But definitely, I think that we need to look into the pound and what we're doing with it. And it is sitting on a right of way. And where are we going with that? But at a quieter time. Thanks.
If we have notes, so through the chair, if we have specific notes on this, if we can share them, if you can share them with me, some of the edits on it as well, I can sit there with staff and work our way through those as well. More than happy with that.
Okay, so I guess we'll change this for a first reading. Do you want me to just muddle through this one? So can I move that animal control bylaw number 2025-027 be read a first time, and that the fees and charges bylaw number 2021-003, amending bylaw number 9, bylaw number 2025-028 be read a first time, and that the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 2021-002, amendment bylaw number 2025-029 be read a first time, and that an updated draft of the bylaws will be brought forward at a later date. Bruce? Yeah, all in favor? Carried. Muddling right along here. No unfinished business, no notice of motions, so we will go to report from the mayor.
Okay, thanks. Okay, June 20th, I had the honor of attending the National Indigenous Peoples' Day here in Lillooet. It was a meaningful event, and I was grateful for the opportunity to share a few words at the Community Care Center hosted by the Friendship Center, which did an absolutely great job of organizing the parade and celebration as they always do. June 23rd, I met with our new Member of Parliament, Frank Caputo, who now represents our riding as Brad Viss's portfolio was realigned. So during our discussion, I raised the ongoing concern about the high cost of the ARC studies that communities like Lillooet are required to undertake when repairing or replacing infrastructure. Given that Mr. Caputo's riding now includes approximately 27 First Nation communities, I felt it was important to highlight how these costs impact rural communities. And by understanding the challenges faced not only here in Lillooet, but also in communities like Lytton and Merritt, Mr. Caputo will be better positioned to advocate for change at the federal level. The more he hears directly from communities like us, the stronger his voice can be in bringing these concerns forward to Ottawa. I also provided Mr. Caputo with an update of the Town Creek water situation and emphasized how crucial our second water source is for Lillooet. He shared a valuable insight. He said that while municipalities often apply for grants, they rarely request letters of support for their MP. And he just encouraged us to do so. He said he only gets a few, and he says that we really should be asking for a support letter from him in some of these initiatives. So I think his backing could strengthen our applications and highlight the federal significance of our infrastructure needs as well. I think it's worth a try anyways. June 26th saw the grand opening of the Northern Statland Primary Care Center. I can't express or imagine how much work that went into the creation of that health and wellness center, but I was honored to share a few words and be present for the opening. Minister Josie Osborne also came for that celebration and ceremony. It was moving, heartfelt, and it was pretty exciting. Prior to the opening, CAO Joe McCullough and myself met with Minister Osborne to express our concerns over the ED closures that are all too frequent. I think last count was just as of the other day, I think actually including this last one is 82 closures for Lillooet this year. So with those concerns, we offered possible solutions. Some of them being, the nurse practitioners and utilizing their help to triage lower acuity patients, CTAS 3, 4, and 5 in the ER, and just help reduce the pressure of physicians while ensuring patients continue to receive some timely and appropriate care. We also talked about the locum funding for 12 hours versus the 24 hours, and she is going to look into that, as other communities are also saying that that has been a little bit of a hindrance on physicians because they get somewhere around, I don't know, like $3,300 for the first 12 hours and $36 for the night shift between 8 p.m. and 8 in the morning. So and that's where our closures, we're seeing the bulk of our closures. So she will be looking into that. And we've also set up, or in the midst of setting up a meeting with the local mayors at UBCM. I feel like I'm getting to know Minister Osborne better, and I truly believe she is the best health minister that British Columbia has ever had. She's intelligent, she's articulate, she's accessible, and most importantly, she really does care about small communities and large communities too. But I just see in our world of talking to her about rural health care that she really does just genuinely care. So, we both look forward to working with her. And again, we're setting up that meeting date for UBCM. July 1st, Canada Day, huge success. Just want to thank our CAO, Joe McCullough. Paulo and the public works staff, Mike, Brittany, the rec center staff for their support, setup, takedown, and cleanup. The Bilo, Bob Sheridan and his staff, Amber and David Harder, Tab Oldering, and Guy and Anna Moon and Woods. The vendors, Frank and Councilor Aiken there for all the cooking of the hot dogs on an atrociously hot day. Yeah, really did take a village, and I always look forward to next year too. Lastly, when I attended the open house yesterday, I saw, which was great, again, great work there, but I saw the painted wall that is in the background behind me, or behind, you know what I mean? And also, the clock. Yay, Paulo, thank you so much. That's it for me. Thanks.
Guess I'll go next here. Not too much this time. June 19th, I attended Canada Day planning meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually attend Canada Day on the 1st this year, but I did hear it was well attended and it went very well. So thank you for everybody who participated and helped with that. I did step in as acting mayor from July 2 to 7. July 8, I did try and sign into the BC Hydro LaJoy Dam Improvement Virtual Open House. My district teams does not like anybody, so I wasn't able to sign in for that, so I went in as a guest, and I guess they didn't like that either because they kept wanting access to my security and everything, so I actually was not able to join that one. I did text with a colleague, and they did give me a few updates, but not much to share as I didn't hear it myself, but from what I gathered, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And there are mentions of delays already, but really with the project that size and the constraints, I guess it is to be expected. Can't really share anything else on that one, but their next open house is slated for the fall in 2025. Where are we? July 4. I was briefly at the rec center just after the chemical incident with the pool. That led to the 3-day closure of the facility. I'll ask Mr. McCullough if he can share what he's able to in his council report. But I just wanted to take a moment just to recognize the incredible response from the staff and all the first responders. While I was there, the level of care and compassion that they showed to the public, to the day camp kids, because we're running a day camp here for kids now as well, and also to each other was remarkable. Stress at the moment, but everybody remained calm, followed procedures, and ensured that the building was evacuated safely and smoothly. So I just want to thank Rec Center staff team for their professionalism, and their empathy, and their care. Clear-headed, stressful moment, and their what they did did not go unnoticed. So thank you for them. And that's me.
It's gonna be a lot shorter. I was at the committee of the whole meeting for the zoning bylaw update. Also as a part of the Canada Day celebration that I think it's a big success. Yeah, it's good to see how many people came up for that. It's a real mix of characters and that meeting went pretty long. Big shout out to Joe, he was there till the end. Yeah, he was still making it out very good. And I also attended the zoning open house last night there. It sounds like there's a good turnout. There's some good feedback there. So looking forward to see what things we need to tweak. Go ahead.
Okay. Report from Steve.
Hey, thank you, Director. Yeah, it's been I don't know if exciting is the right word to use to describing some of the stuff that we've been through in the last month, but we've certainly been through a lot in the last month. We've had a lot of different meetings. We've been dealing with a lot with public works, and again, special thanks to Tana and all the public works that's come out, which we have with Canada Day. Those guys really did an amazing amount of work behind the scenes on it. So as usual, a lot of meetings, which is always just a meeting kind of rota. Don't typically add in all of my meetings. There are other meetings in there, but these are just the main drafts. We were there for the red after opening, which is fantastic. Nice to see. When I say this, and I don't want this to sound cynical in any way, shape, or form, but it was really genuinely nice to deal with an outfit that just come prepared, they have the right information, they have the right planners, they have the right execution. They come to town. It's not oodles of money. We're not trying to, we're not trying to kind of break them over the coals and cause problems with them with planning and with zoning and with variances and with anything. None of that stuff, as far as I know, came back to the council. I think there may have been a couple of small reports there, but this is an example of a professional development. And this is what professional development looks like. Professional developers come in, they do the research, they look at what they're doing. They're not trying to come back and argue about the BC building code and do we need a faucet here? Are we allowed to do this? What do we do with parking? And everything that we went through with this application from start to finish, from the purchase right the way through to the opening day, was really clean. They came to us at the beginning of the year, they came in, they purchased it, done. It was all done nice and a schedule we brought forward, and it was really seamless. This is what developments are actually meant to look like, not us coming backwards and forwards 400 times and asking for changes to do all these things and arguments and falling down. So really happy to see that one going ahead. I was also with the mayor with the First Nations Health Authority, the opening of that with Josie Osborne. We put in a picture of Chief Sid Scotsman getting his birthday cake this year, which through 3 separate meetings when I was at with First Nations in the last week, he actually brought up the fact that we got a birthday cake. He was really genuinely touched by that. So it shows sometimes these small things that we just kind of do are really, really important, and I think that just shows the strength of the relationship as well. So it was a very successful day, a very hot day, a very successful day. We'll build on it for next year. Obviously, we lost Joni this week, so we're now actively seeking a new CFO. We have a number of applications for that, a very good bank of applications, so I'm quite positive to see that. Joni has left us in very good standing. I think Kat would admit that the finances are looking good. To have, and it's strange for me because when you go through a financial audit, you expect things to be in place to look at, but to have an external person come in and then sit down and then review the finances and also say, yours are doing really well. This is incredible. Your municipality is financially in a very strong position. You have no debt. You guys are doing awesome. So for somebody else to come in and sorry to quote you on it, Pat, but that was our first conversation, I think. But when Pat came in and looked at that and then showed us that, that really does show the great work that Joni and council have done over the last couple of years. So thanks very much for that, because she's already set this community up. And I think that the community probably doesn't realise how much hard work's been done in the last 10 years to get us to this position. And that's why it's really important to kind of keep on that right trajectory. I had my CEO clinic, still getting people showing up to that, still really good, still very popular. So people do come in, they like to ask questions, everything from dog bylaws to potholes, mostly potholes, and then how to get rid of deers, which is fine, get rid of deers. There's been a lot of work and other initiatives done. And again, this is one of the things that I like to do. I realised that I put a picture on there was a hammer. I don't know why the hammer's on top of that little grey box. I don't think that's what was happening that day, but I kept it in anyway just for giggles. But again, it just kind of shows in a month, these are the kind of day-to-day tasks and things that the public works are kind of getting on with, that nobody really kind of sees. But without these critical things and these roles getting done, like the cleaning out of our reservoir. So the cleaning out of our reservoir involved a very, very specific dive team that had to get planned months in advance, that had to go through all the safety regulations, that then had to get all of the specific permits, that then had to go up and do a complete setup of everything. And the work and attention that Tanner and his group are going through on those days, those are really stressful days. I know from my operations days, those are stressful days because you're flushing water out, there's divers in places, there's health and safety involved. There's a lot going on that we want to make sure that we're not messing around with. That could put a boiled water advisory on, could put all these other restrictions on. So that was a stressful couple of days for Tanner, I'm pretty sure. A stressful week for Tanner. But there's a lot of projects like that are just going along. And I don't ever think that we've ever really kind of brought them forward to the forefront to kind of show council. But these are all the jobs that we're doing in the background, as well as Captain Bay Park, doing the other kind of things. Utilities. congratulations this week, it's fantastic. Another capital project that we completed in the last 2 weeks was a 17th and Pine Crescent. Again, this is one that we brought forward fairly early on because we acknowledged the fact that we didn't have sufficient fire flow in that area. There wasn't enough fire flow because of the new building requirements, the new building code regulations. The building code regulations would require a certain flow for that. And what it really meant was that we should be upgrading that. Now, I'm working with a group just now in the VLA, and they've actually started a petition to come to council. They say, we want more fire protection in our area. There's about 14 empty lots down there, and no one single person can afford to build a $500,000 water line. But collectively, they want to come to council and say, look, we've kind of plateaued down there, and we're seeing for the last 15 years, there's only been 3 or 4 houses built in that area, but there's so many new houses that want to build, and so many people that want to do upgrades, and we're now saying that we can't do it because of the new building code changes. The building code changes need an increased fire flow. So we're working with that group. So if we hear about a petition going round, it's actually a very positive thing. It's been done in a very organic way, and it's actually been done in a way that they want to bring that forward to present to council, and they've been working with staff behind the scenes in that one. So that's a positive thing in my opinion. But again, like Doug Grosvenor and Tanner and his crew for working diligently. And not only that, whilst they were doing that, they also discovered one other arc site and then went ahead and worked with Stanley Government Services and then carried on and repaired a meter box and a hydrant at the other end of the street whilst they were working on that whole thing. So again, it wasn't just this one, it's actually 2 roads and then 2 other repairs that they did alongside that. A little bit fire department. Corey is just kind of going from strength to strength and a lot of what he's doing just now. We have had a number of small operations and incidents. The 2 that really impressed me was the rec centre, and then immediately after the rec centre incident, Corey had to attend an MSEA, which is a medical emergency for an overdose. So Corey did a 36-hour shift here at the rec centre, no sleep, with me, Mike, and Corey had no sleep that night. He finished his shift here and then went to a medical emergency for an overdose and actually saved something personally, which is fantastic. And not only did he do that, he also recruited one of the ambulance staff to join the fire department. So yeah, I'm kind of he's really just shining every time he does these things. I'll talk about the rec centre just down the line with these things. Goes up our new truck, and thank you for the SMRT's money for that. We're getting moving with that as soon as possible. The new truck, this is the back for the truck that we built just now, not the one that we just purchased. This is the whole other back end of it, so just showing the progress on that. We get regular updates once a month. We just said every month, can you give us an update? Show us where we are. Show us the timeline and how it's progressing. And it's twofold. It's really just to kind of keep the pressure on them, because then they're saying, okay, every month we need to send this report because our CEO likes to put pictures on things. So kind of keeps the pressure on, which is nice. Bylaw has been very busy. They've been carrying on with their good work. Planning and development, as far as I can see, are again swinging from the branches and doing fantastic work. So thank you, Kevon, and thank you for the assistance, Christina. The open house went exceptionally well. Kevon came in and spoke to me earlier on the day and said, how many people do you expect? And I think I said around 20, and I think it was anywhere between 50 and 60 at one point, but it went swimmingly well. They were scheduled to have a 1-hour meeting with the Chamber of Commerce board. That turned into how many hours actually? 3. So we will be sending the Chamber of Commerce our consultants fee. They'll need to pay for that. I don't know how they're going to manage to pay for that. We'll send them that. But no, I think that was valuable. I think that was good. And I think the Chamber enjoyed that opportunity to have a long time with the planners. I didn't come into that because I thought it would be valuable for them to have that time. And I hope that they've really got a lot of their ideas and thoughts out there as well, and kind of found out why planners are doing things the way the planners are doing. So what else have we got in here? Rec centre. We have a Apricot Festival coming up in July 25th, 26th, and 27th. You can always stand around our event out there. We have a new stage outside, which is fantastic. Like to thank Paolo and all the people that involved themselves in that. That's been a fantastic success. It was, like we'd said, thank you for approving it because Paolo was already ready to build it. And literally built it in a week. It is not 100% full of concrete, just for clarity. There is a condensed foam, styrofoam engineered highway density foam that they had as surplus, and that was donated as part of the base and the fill for it. So just so that people know, it's not 100% filled with concrete. That would have been very expensive. That picture at the end here, maybe somewhere. We also got the, that's that one was like, so a special thank you to Bridge River Machine Shop. They had cut out all the names with it, Coastal Range Concrete, Timber Market Jar, and Extract Brothers as well. And then Paolo was also involved in kind of coordinating all of those people over and above his own time. And Paolo started his own company now, which is fantastic. He's doing a back consultation behind the scenes. And really brought that whole project together and saved a lot of money for it on it as well. So I think that would have cost anywhere in excess of $15,000 to $20,000 to do if you'd have done it any other way. So the fact that they came in at about $5 was remarkable. And then we have our schedules for the rest of this month. We're still trying to get the next schedule for August as requested at the last council meeting. But again, hopefully you're starting to see how much this place is filling up. It certainly feels like a much different rec centre than where it did a year ago. In saying that, we did have an incident and we had WorkSafe in today, and we have had WorkSafe in on a number of occasions talking to us about what actually happened. So where we are with it just now is WorkSafe have concluded the first stage of their investigation. We were waiting for opening of the pool for Interior Health, because they still need to come in and sign that off. And we're also waiting for chemicals to be delivered. We are cautious to release too much information about exactly what happened, but what we can see has happened so far today is there appears to be either the wrong chemicals delivered or something has happened with delivering the chemicals. It's still our responsibility to make sure that we go through and check those chemicals and to look at them. But from what I can see during the investigation of the day, it would have been a very easy mistake to make for our operators on the day. It wasn't something that was rushed, it wasn't something that we didn't have enough people there for. It was something to do with the actual chemicals that were delivered. And because of that, we're working very closely with WorkSafe and we're working very closely with the distributors as well, because we need to find out exactly what's happening on that day. It was an abundance of caution that we're keeping everything closed. Pool is still running, the pool is still there, it's still full, we've still got that all running away behind the scenes on it. So we just want to make sure that Interior Health goes through and all the time sign along. We're just doing our due diligence with this just now as well. So we're not blaming, we're not finger waving at any one individual or with distributors of that material or those chemicals, but we will be looking at them. Nobody was seriously injured. All of the staff on the day went to the hospital. That was under my direction. That was not just something a lot of the staff that were here felt comfortable not to go to the hospital, but that was under my direction. That I insisted that all members of staff that were here, including the fire department, go to the hospital. We're lucky the hospital was open that night, and we're also lucky that the hospital were willing to take them. They brought in staff to actually accommodate that request. And the reason we did that was to make sure that we could create a baseline for any ongoing, if there was any injuries, if there was anything else that happened, at least at that point on that day, we had a specific baseline for that. That's about health and safety in the background. I wanted to make sure that we were put to reflect. So all staff have returned to work, everyone is back to work, back at work, we're back to work on the Monday straight after the event. And I'm going to praise Corey for his quick thinking, all of the staff's quick thinking and their responses. Councillor Flan for coming out that day as well and assisting. The most unusual thing happened in the day, which was outside the event, So I'll just add in and then close on this. During the event, a gentleman walked up and introduced himself and asked if he could help, which is kind of weird because you usually see looky-loos around events. Didn't really think anything of it. And the gentleman walked up to me and says, "Is there anything I can do to help?" I said, "Yeah, sure. What do you do?" He said, "I work for the province. I'm the senior hazardous materials supervisor for BC." He says, "I deal with chemical spills and I deal with oil spills in the Arctic and I deal with all of the large events." They basically phoned this guy, and his wife was in town on holiday, or she was working and he was on holiday, and he just so happened to be walking past and he seen the commotion and he heard somebody mention chemicals and he thought he would just lend his assistance. Which I don't know what the kind of odds are for something like that to happen, but it was certainly very well received and very favourable for us. We did have a professional company come in. It was a waste company. Their name was Q&M. They have came in and they deemed the site safe that night or that morning at 9 o'clock the next morning. So the site was deemed completely safe at that point in time. And the rest of the building has been completely sweet and checked the ground. So it was a major event for us to be with. That's you on the box.
Okay, that's great, thank you. We'll move on to new business, so I guess both of them are mine. So the first one for 17.1 is the Lillooet Pride Walk letter that was received. I want to thank Mike Houston for sending the letter for the proposed walk on July 26th. I do have some reservations about it, just as it is being proposed to be used on the sidewalks and not on the road. I do recall in years past, there have been parades done on the sidewalks for different groups. There have been complaints after the fact where the public has actually been pushed off the sidewalks and having to step off the curbs or into the traffic or between the vehicles because of the parade participants. And I know with all best intentions and common courtesies sort of can go out the window when you're trying to keep a group on what's a sidewalk, a 4 or 5 foot space there. Sidewalk really does constrict you with things. I realize that permits are needed if you want to do a parade down a road. So, and I'm not sure who you get them for, or what the timeline is, but I'd really like to know if Lillooet Pride had looked into getting permits to do something on the road instead of on the sidewalks. I do want to emphasize here that I am not against the Pride Parade or wanting to stop it or anything. It's just the impact of a parade on sidewalks that I feel has an impact for pedestrians and businesses. And I'd just like to know if all avenues were actually looked at before it was decided to go down the sidewalks.
Through Chair, to my knowledge, they haven't reached out to us specifically. They've given us a leaflet to indicate that they do want to do a parade on the sidewalk, but I will simply reach out to them and let them know concerns. To my knowledge, after dealing with Ministry of Transportation, not reach out to them for that. Yeah, they would want, I can give them, say, a liability and insurance issue with that as well. But I can more than happily reach out to them and ask them how to mitigate those concerns.
In that case, for this one, if I could have someone move that the correspondence for item 2025-07-08, letter and poster Lillooet Pride Walk be received. Seconder? All in favor? Carried. And then the second new business is the correspondence for the visit to Murray Park email that was received. And just wanting to know if anyone from council or staff would be available to meet with Dan and Ted Murray for their visit in July. And if we actually have anybody who knows some of the history as to Murray Park that was donated by them. And I'm so wondering if someone from the museum or historical society might like to meet with them as well, just as they are from the family of one of Lillooet's most renowned, colorful individuals. What the city, I think it's this weekend,
July,
July 18th.
Friday, or something.
Yeah, Friday to Sunday. So I would be willing to do that as well there. Okay. If we can get in contact with them somehow and find Richard class numbers. Okay, so in that case, can I have somebody move that the correspondence item visit to Murray Park email be received?
That's just a question. Prior to the visit, is there any opportunity to make part of it's best as it can? I'm not sure if Public Works has the time or I guess to present it or get like, because I know it's citing for Walters Camp and other things going. And it's been down there, so there's a quick sweep to make sure that it's good. I guess it's getting that.
Actually, that brings up another thing I was thinking of. The Murray Park is on the other side of the railway tracks. I believe, like, part of it's on the one side, the other is because the sign's on the other side. Are you legally able to walk across railway tracks? Okay.
But not unless, through the chair, not unless it's a designated crossing. It needs to be a specific crossing, unless CN in the future are going to start selling all their train tracks, which. Yeah, definitely mentioned everyone.
Okay, that goes for question seconder. All in favor? Okay, that is it for new business. Public clarification period. The meeting is now open to questions from the media and public regarding one or more items from tonight's agenda. Do we have anybody? Media is not here. Public?
It's send an apology.
Right.
When they send an apology.
Okay, in that case, we will be moving into a closed session. So I do request for resolution that the meeting of the District of Lillooet Council be closed to the public pursuant to the Community Charter Provisions, Section 90. And one, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Favor, seconder, all in favor? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Thank you, everybody.
Everything up?
Oh, they were actually calling.
So